and in the case of the 1981 dime, collectors have identified rare instances where the mint mark was misaligned, doubled, or even missing, and such anomalies instantly make a coin different from its ordinary counterparts. But what truly fuels the value is scarcity combined with demand, because when a particular error is extremely rare and only a handful of coins are known to exist, collectors will bid extraordinary amounts to add it to their collection, and this is what drives the 1981 dime's astronomical price. But to understand it more deeply, we should look at the nature of mint marks, because the D stands for the Denver Mint, one of the main branches of the United States Mint, and mint marks are small details often overlooked by casual users but cherished by collectors because they tell the story of where and how a coin was made, and in some cases like 1981, subtle mistakes in applying or shaping those mint marks created rare variations that have since been classified as error coins, and these errors can range from a faint doubling of the D, to a mispunched mint mark where the D overlaps with another impression, to instances where the D appears in a strange position, or even cases where the D is missing altogether, and these mint mark errors are incredibly significant because they transform the coin into something unique, and uniqueness in numismatics almost always means value. And when you combine uniqueness with scarcity and historical importance, you get multi-million-dollar valuations. But beyond mint mark errors, there are also possibilities of die errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, or even rare transitional errors where the wrong metal composition might have been used, and each of these creates its own category of collectible, with the rarest ones achieving breathtaking prices at auctions. And the 1981 dime has become a symbol of this phenomenon because examples with spectacular mint errors have sold for extraordinary sums, and some experts in the field have suggested that a pristine, uncirculated, error-rich 1981 dime could indeed reach or even surpass the $5 million mark in the right market conditions, especially when certified by a top grading company such as PCGS or NGC, because grading plays a massive role in establishing value, with coins graded mint state 65 or higher commanding prices many times greater than those with wear, and that is why collectors pay close attention to surfaces, luster, strike quality, and details when evaluating a coin, and in the case of the 1981 dime, having a high grade combined with a dramatic mint error creates a perfect storm of desirability. But one might ask why anyone would pay millions for a coin that in essence was a mistake, and the answer lies in the psychology of collectors and the economic principles of rarity and demand, because humans have always valued the rare and unique, whether it be gemstones, art, stamps, or coins, and error coins embody the idea of rarity in its purest form, because while billions of coins are made perfectly to standard, the tiny fraction that escape with mistakes become prized treasures, almost like natural diamonds among pebbles, and furthermore, the story behind an error coin enhances its mystique, because every time a collector holds a 1981 error dime they are holding not just a piece of metal but a story of how human oversight, machine malfunction, and historical context all combine to create something irreplaceable. And when wealthy collectors or investors enter the scene, willing to spend millions to secure such a story, the market price soars beyond comprehension, and this explains how a coin with a face value of 10 cents could reach $5 million in worth. But to fully appreciate the scale of this transformation, we should think about the difference between face value and market value. Because face value is the nominal worth assigned by the issuing government, in this case 10 cents. But market value is determined by what buyers are willing to pay, and in rare coin markets, that difference can be astronomical, as with the 1981 dime, where the market value exceeds the face value by 50 million times, a staggering leap that illustrates the power of rarity, demand, and collector passion, and this also ties into the broader history of Liberty coins. Because the word liberty has appeared on U.S. coins since the very beginning as a symbol of freedom and democracy, and throughout history coins bearing liberty in one form or another have often been central to major collecting trends, with certain Liberty coins becoming legendary in their own right, and the Roosevelt dime continues that tradition with its inscription, Liberty, alongside Roosevelt's portrait, reinforcing its connection to American ideals, and when that design becomes the foundation for a rare error like the 1981 its symbolic weight only grows, making it not just a monetary artifact but a cultural icon, and this is why discussions of Liberty coins and their real market value often highlight the difference between what the coin is supposed to represent in everyday transactions and what it has come to represent in the collector's world, because in the collector's market Liberty coins can embody freedom in another sense, financial freedom, since owning one can literally mean the difference between poverty and wealth if it sells for millions, and that possibility is what excites so many people about coin collecting, the dream that in your pocket change you might hold a fortune, and with the 1981 dime that dream has become reality for those lucky enough to find or inherit one of these rare treasures. And speaking of finding them, it is important to know how to identify rare and error coins, because identification is the key to unlocking value. And collectors are trained to look for details under magnification, to study mint marks, to examine edges, to check for doubling, off-centering, die cracks, or unusual features, and to cross-reference their finds with established numismatic guides and auction records. And for the 1981 dime specifically, the focus is often on the mint mark, its position, clarity, and any doubling, as well as on the overall strike and surfaces that may reveal hidden errors. And learning to identify such features is part of the skill and thrill of collecting, because while most coins will be ordinary, the rare few that show mistakes can be worth life-changing sums, and this possibility keeps the hunt alive, with collectors all over the world checking their pocket change, rolls of dimes from banks, or old collections passed down through families, hoping to spot that one coin with an error that transforms it into a multi-million-dollar piece. And so the 1981 dime stands as a perfect case study of how numismatics works at its most fascinating level. Everyone to this exciting video where today we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins, focusing on one of the most intriguing treasures in American coinage history, the 1989 Liberty Roosevelt dime, a coin that has fascinated collectors for decades and has reached astonishing values in the marketplace, with rare error examples fetching up to $4 million, an amount that completely defies its humble face value of just 10 cents, and in this video we will unravel its full story. From its origins, minting history, significance in American coinage, to the special circumstances, errors, and mistakes that turned what was meant to be an everyday piece of currency into a potential fortune, as well as exploring the broader world of rare dimes, how to identify them, and why certain mint mark errors and striking anomalies can create staggering values that collectors are willing to pay, and to truly appreciate why the 1989 dime is such an important and unique coin we must begin with a little history, because the Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. He was beloved as the leader who guided the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, and he was also closely associated with the March of Dimes campaign, which worked tirelessly to combat polio. So the choice of his portrait on the dime was symbolic and fitting. Since then the Roosevelt dime has become one of the longest running series in U.S. coinage, produced in billions across decades and generally considered common pocket change. Yet, as is often the case in numismatics, hidden among these billions are rare gems created by minting mishaps, errors, or anomalies that slipped through quality control. And these are the coins that excite collectors, because while the average dime from 1989 is worth no more than its face value, there are stories of extraordinary examples that sell for astronomical sums due to errors, and among them is the legendary case of a 1989 Roosevelt dime whose value was driven sky-high due to a mint mark error and other striking mistakes that make it one of the most unique coins in modern history, with auction estimates and collector sales pushing it into the millions, even up to an incredible $4 million. A price that shocks casual observers but makes perfect sense when you understand the coin collecting world, because rarity, demand, condition, and error type all combine to drive value. And in the case of the 1989 dime, its story illustrates how an ordinary object can become a life-changing discovery for anyone lucky enough to find one in circulation or hidden away in an old collection. Now the Philadelphia Mint, marked by the letter P on coins, was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of dimes in 1989. And generally these coins are extremely common, with no silver content, made of copper-nickel-clad composition, and intended for everyday circulation. But within that massive production run, minting errors sometimes occurred, and certain errors such as missing mint marks, double strikes, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or transitional mistakes can elevate a coin from being worth 10 cents to thousands or even millions of dollars, and the 1989 P. Roosevelt dime has examples reported with extraordinary features, including mint mark anomalies where the P appears distorted, misplaced, doubled, or in some cases missing altogether, which instantly makes such a coin stand out to collectors because mint mark errors are highly prized, especially in modern coinage where precision is normally strict, and when one of these errors combines with an otherwise pristine condition coin graded at the highest mint state levels by professional grading services, its rarity skyrockets and the bidding wars among collectors push the value into realms no one could imagine for a dime, hence the staggering $4 million valuation that has made headlines and fueled interest in searching old coin jars, bank rolls, and inherited collections, as collectors hope to stumble upon such a treasure. And beyond mint mark errors there are other possibilities in the 1989 P dime that add to its mystique, including die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike without a planchet in between leaving ghostly impressions on the coin, broad strikes that occur when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar leading to a wider than normal dime, and double die errors where the design elements appear duplicated, all of which can make a coin highly collectible, and in rare instances when such errors coincide with a high-grade example, their value surges exponentially. So while the average 1989 P dime may be pocket change, the possibility of a dramatic error coin transforms it into a multi-million-dollar collectible. And this is where the true magic of numismatics lies, because it demonstrates how history, craftsmanship, chance, and human